Tonight, Energy Minister storms Parliament, demands to address the House after a member of Parliament claimed on the floor that the minister had admitted a return to the dreaded days of Dumsor.
I was happy that the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Mawuh, admitted that Dumsor is back. Never did I mention that we return to John Mohammed-led Dumsor regime in this country.
So tonight, what is the power situation in your neighborhood as Parliament is left divided on the matter?
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Top Story is always brought to you by Bond Savings and Loans. Your success, our passion. GasM, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready. And the Nationwide Medical Health Insurance, your health care family. Well, is Ghana back to the dreaded days of Dumsor or not? Now, that is the question dividing Parliament tonight and has compelled the Energy Minister to storm Parliament, demanding an opportunity to address the House. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo witnessed the drama unfold and joins me in the studio with more. What happened, Joseph?
So the House is still debating the 2019 budget statement that the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta presented to the House. And today, the focus was on the energy sector as well as issues having to do with the Attorney General's office. And when the debate was ongoing on issues having to do with the energy sector, Deputy Ranking on the Mines and Energy Committee, Delasoa, who is MP for Kpando, made a point that at the Energy Minister Peter Mawuh's press conference yesterday, he admitted that we're back to the dreaded days of Dumsor.
I learned a new word. I learned Dunkra and Dumsor. I was happy that the Minister of Energy, Honorable Peter Mawuh, admitted that Dumsor is back. Further, we've been fighting in Dumsor, but now he has admitted that we are in Dumsor.
So that's Delasoa there, and she happens to be the deputy ranking on the Mines and Energy Committee. That claim that she just made there was challenged, was it not?
Yes, so her reference was to the minister's media briefing yesterday. The Vice Chairman of Parliament Mines and Energy Committee, George Duka, made a point that he was there when the minister addressed the media, and the minister never admitted that the dreaded days of Dumsor are back. And so the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, intervened in the discussion and demanded that Delasoa withdraws the claim that she had made.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, when the minister himself addressed the people of Ghana, I was there with him, and he never mentioned that we are in the Dumsor era. And for that matter, the honourable member is informing the House. This House is House of Records, and she must come properly.
Honourable member, I hope you heard this one.
Mr. Speaker, the proceeding is coming from him. He should read the script of the minister.
I will want you to withdraw unless you have something. It's a fact, may be different from someone said. If you want to say it's a fact, keep it that fact to yourself. But don't say that the honourable minister has said that. That's a very different matter. So that you don't answer the question by shouting, it's a fact. Yes, honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, I take your guidance. I withdraw.
Thank you very much.
But the reality of the matter is, power outages are rampant.
Dr. Appiah-Kudu.
So Joseph, she withdraws after, of course, initially resisting, the call for her to do so.
And Professor Michael Quay insisting that per the rules of the House, she had to.
So she did withdraw. But something happened, I think an hour, almost 2 hours after that withdrawal had been made on the floor. Well, what is it? What happened?
So the Energy Minister himself, Peter Mawuh is not a member of Parliament, and so he would only come to the House when he has business doing. But after that debate, he came to the House. And per the rules of the House, even if you are not a member of Parliament and you're a Minister of State, the law allows that you can sit in the chamber, make contributions to issues, except that you don't have the right to vote. So he came in, joined in as...
So he can simply just he simply just walks in and goes to pick a mic?
Just as, not necessarily, but he can walk in, take a seat like any other member of parliament who has the right to be in the House does. And then if you don't want to make any contribution, you rise and then the speaker will recognize you and you'll be allowed to do that. If you are not a minister, the law doesn't give you the right to do that. Yourself, for example, you can walk in and say, I'm here, so I want to address an issue, give me the space.
So presumably, somebody would have alerted him that this has been said on the floor.
Yes, and when he addressed the issue, he alluded to that earlier there had been a conversation and something had been said that amounted to him being misquoted, and so he needed to clarify that. And so in the course of the discussion, the speaker himself, Professor Michael Quay, had gotten off the seat, and the first deputy speaker, Joseph Osei-Osu, had taken up as the one in the seat. And in the course of the debate, in fact, they had moved on to discussing other issues having to do with foreign affairs and sanitation and all. But then the first deputy speaker, Joseph Osei-Osu, indicated that John Peter Mao is in the House. His name had come up in one of the discussions. He needs to respond to the issues that had come up. And so he went on to clarify what exactly his statement was.
It's available for everybody seated here. Never did I mention that we return to John Mahama's-led Dumsor regime in this country. Mr. Speaker, never did I say that Dumsor is back under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Mr. Speaker, during question time, I was asked a question because I brought in all the technical people that are responsible for energy supply, transmission, generation, distribution, and metering in this country. Question asked was, are we going to expect intermittent power shortages called Dumsor? The answer given, Mr. Speaker, was technical issues that trigger intermittent power supply as a result of transmission failures, of course, should be expected because these are unfulfilled contingencies, and these are the way we use. We never said, or I never said that we return to Dumsor. Our good friends at the other side of the speaker are praying fervently for this country to be taken back to a 3 years Dumsor. Thank you. 3 years in that line that we have experienced.
So, Joseph, that's him there, allowed to speak and address the House, insisting that he never said that the country is back to the dreaded days of Dumsor. Did this end the discussion on this, too, or the minority guys came back?
So they further challenged Mr. Mao's claim. The Member of Parliament for Sola Tuna Kalba, Andrew Derry Chwete, who was contributing to the discussion, insisted that the minister had been exposed by the media following the claims that he made at the press conference. Eventually, the majority leader, Sechi Mensah-Bonsu, intervened and said that per the rules of the House, as they would always say, the minister has clarified his position. They needed to take the stance of the minister. And Joseph Osei-Osu had to give a second directive that they are sticking to what the minister had just told the House.
This time around, you can run, but you cannot hide. Because the media will expose you. Because technology will expose you. And so we should know that whatever we say, wherever we say it, we should know that people are watching us. I know this time they are in government. We have given the whole Ghana to them to rule, and it is now too heavy for them to carry. So they don't know where to hold on to now. That was because we were all here. We were all here in Ghana. In 2016, I mean, that was a first. Yes, I'm a Ghanaian. I have lived in Ghana, and 2016 February 2016.
The minister in charge of energy is supposed to have made a statement. The minister comes and categorically denies it. And then you have somebody saying that the media will expose you. The Speaker, that is untenable. If the media had quoted what the minister said, that's a different thing. If somebody sitting somewhere constructs his own English to say that the minister said this, and you bring it to Parliament, that certainly will be of nuisance value.
Honourable Member, unless you have the minister's voice saying what he's alleged to have said, we will go by what he's saying here in the House. I recall 2 days ago, Honourable Member for Tamale North saying that headlines are the choice of editors and not the words of the persons. That is the editor's words So please don't use the headlines. If you have what the minister said to contradict him, I will admit it. Otherwise, we go by his word. Please be guided.
So what exactly did the Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu, say on Monday when he addressed the press conference about this controversial subject of whether or not we return to the dreaded days of Dumsor? This is exactly what he said.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, would it be fair for me to say Dumsor is back?
Well, when you put off the lights, you say Dumsor, isn't it? In the past 3 years, it was Dumkra. We are not in an era of Dumkra. Okay? The lights may go off as we are witnessing, but I can assure you that long period that we envisage, that our opponent thinks that they want to capitalize on, that period will never come because we are managing the system.
That is the Energy Minister. So you, our listeners, are the best judges of whether or not Dumsor is back. So tonight, what is the electricity supply reality in your neighborhood? You've heard the allegation that the minister said Dumsor is back. You've heard what he in fact said on Monday. Send me a WhatsApp, 0244-340-437. Tell me what your electricity supply reality is in your neighborhood. On the line with me right now are two members of the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. One is a member of the committee, a minority member of the committee, Edward Bauer. Mr. Bauer, thank you very much for your time here on Top Story.
Thank you for having me.
Also on the line with me is the deputy leader, the deputy chair, the vice chair of the Mines and Energy Committee, Mr. Duka. Hello, Mr. Duka. Thank you for your time here on Top Story.
I'm grateful, my brother.
Okay, let me start with you, Bauer. I noticed after the minister stormed the House and insisted that he never said that, some of the minority members insisted, in fact, on the floor, that he had been exposed by the media. We just listened to the sound, what he in fact said. And he didn't say that there's a return to the days of Dumsor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening to your listeners. Evans, if you listen to the minister, a question was asked whether we are back to Dumsor. The minister had the option to indicate that no, we're not back to Dumsor or we're in Dumsor. But he said Dumsor means putting off your lives. Then if that is the case, this one is not Dumkra like the NDC one. So he acknowledges that there is a Dumsor, but interprets the one that happened under the John Mahama administration as Dumkra. Now, the reason why this is very important is the fact that Dumsor obviously is a local coinage, which simply means load management. Load management on the basis of the fact that your systems cannot support the amount of power you have. So therefore, you need to shed load to be able to keep it. And that's why he said, if it is that you put off your lights, because he was trying to give an interpretation of what the Dumsor really means. He said, this is not like the John Mohammed one, that was Dumkra. So I really do not know what the minister was defending, because you have played the clip, the voice clip of the minister, and there's a clear indication of that. But Evans, the most important, and to be very sincere with you, this is a very ridiculous discussion we have, because I did not even see why the majority was interested in trying to correct or to put a point of order when Honorable Dela was speaking. The reason being this: we are talking about the fact that people do not have power to be able to go about their normal business. The least Ghanaians would have expected today was that the time, the opportunity the minister got to be on the floor of the House, he would have used Parliament as a route to tell Ghanaians the updates in terms of the load management exercise that is being done. I listened to your program.
Go on.
I listened to your morning show today. The host of your morning show on Joy FM, called various correspondents from the various regions. There were some areas, for example, in Ashanti region, where the correspondent indicated that there were certain areas that people were off, they did not have lights for 3 continuous days. And so when you have situations like this, and you have decided to coin it and pretend what it is load management. And if it is load management, the truth of the matter is that the Ghanaian coinage for it is the Dumso.
No, but you talk about load management. You know, you've been at the Energy Ministry. Load management comes with a schedule. The ECG, the GRIDCO, the VRA will sit together, and something that your government did will produce a schedule to guide the load management. We don't have that now. And the minister was clear in explaining that what we are having could be localized faults and technical challenges. In fact, I want to quote his words. We play the sound, but it's sometimes it's good to transcribe it and read it out. He says, when you put off the lights, we say Dumso, isn't it? In the past 3 years, it was Dumkra. We are not in an era of Dumkra. The lights may go off as we are witnessing, but I can assure you that the long period that we envisage, that our opponents think that they want to capitalize on, that period will never come. So when you say load management, we know what that is based on what was implemented under your tenure. Is that what we are having now?
Evans, load management is not what makes something load management. It's not the schedule that is brought to tell people that today you are off, today you are on. Load management happens when the system operator shares load to be able to keep the integrity.
Because so possibly you have a shortfall in supply, in possibly a generation shortfall, or we don't have enough power in the stream.
The demand is higher than the supply.
But you know, and you've claimed that you provided excess power, and so it's impossible that in Ghana today we'll have a situation where the demand will outstrip supply because we have too much supply in the system. Isn't that what
the point is that you just do not need, again, we had this discussion over and over, you just do not need a generating plant as a basis to get power. There are other ingredients. And yet the minister himself in his own statement, that when he met the media, indicated that they were having some challenges. GRIDCO, when they issued their statement about 3 or 4 days ago, said there were low pressures in terms of gas supply. So on the basis of that, they could not generate enough power. So definitely, we had demand that was outstripping supply. And when you have demand outstripping supply, you share load, you manage the load. So it is not a schedule that you give to Ghanaians as a matter of communication and transparency. That translates to load management. It is the act of shedding the power because there is a deficit of generation in the system.
Let me bring in the vice chair on the committee, Mr. Duka. This is fundamentally about people's lives, and I ask my listeners to share with me what their electricity supply reality is in the neighborhood, because the politicians will continue to be politicians, but it's about the lives of the people, and we'll be reading what you've been sharing with us so far. But this issue about whether or not we are in an era of Dumso, the minister says that is not what he said, and that's not what is happening in reality. However, in his statement, he talks about, yes, you may have challenges, technical challenges, localized faults, etc. But the fundamental, does it matter? Isn't it really about what people are feeling and happening in the homes?
Evans, absolutely so. Evans, let me say good evening to your charity listeners. Evans, what is important is today, the minister himself was the plenary, and he vividly explained his words, the statement that he released, that he never mentioned that we are in the era of Dumso. And even the aspect of Dumkra and Dumso came in at the question time when one of the journalists posed a question to him, and he sought to explain it, that we're not in the era of Dumso. And that is all that, we're struggling now to explain. My friends from the other side of the aisle are struggling, to create a storm in a teacup, and that is worrying. What is important is how do we tackle such situations where we wouldn't be expecting in the era of Dumso, where lights goes off persistently, irregular, and uninformed. That is what we term as Dumso. But the minister has categorically stated that there were technical challenges. Obviously, people are refusing to accept that, and it is their own prerogative to do so. But the reality is that, yes, there were technical challenges that have been overcome as I speak with you. And going forward, we're not going to experience. The minister didn't say that we're going to be experiencing what we've been experiencing currently. What he sought to say was that, yes, we are dealing with plants, and there may be some local technical challenges that may arise. And if they do happen, then we may go into some of these situations. But it is not like the era where we had persistent light-off. No.
Yeah, but Mr. Duke, if you listen to Bauer, if the minister says, well, because the question was asking a direct question, are we back to the days of doom? So he says, well, we are not back to doom so bad. We are not. This is what we used to have in the past was doom cry, and that's not what we are having now. You could do the reverse interpretation that if your claim is we had doom cry then what do we have now if it's not doom so?
Evans, my worry is even just debating on those semantics. But
the minister stormed the parliament to make that point. And do you accept Bauer's point that to take advantage of the floor of parliament, the most important the minister should have done with that time was to update the nation on what the current power situation is? Do you accept that point?
Evans, the minister was not subpoenaed to parliament. He was there to observe the debate. He wasn't there to answer questions from any of the members. In fact, he came on as a minister because a member was then misinforming the House. And the House is a House of record. And anything that you say is captured in the Hansard. So he got up to correct the impression that he mentioned at his press conference that we've revisited Dumso. And he said, no, that is not what I said. And it even came up when a journalist posed the question. When Honorable Dela also was on her feet, I also took her on the floor of the House that, no, the minister never mentioned that we've revisited Dumso. But the minister categorically mentioned that, yes, there are technicalities that may crop up going forward.
Okay.
How do you resolve?
I get that. Fundamentally, I wonder, do you have an update for the nation on where we are with the challenges we've had in the last few weeks with the power supply? Is there any update from your end? Do you know that as a vice chair of the committee?
My brother on the other line will testify that I was with the Minister for Energy. I was sitting by him.
Okay, so do you have the update or not?
And the update that I am getting now is that the challenges that we were facing, I mean, the few technical challenges that we're going through have been, resolved. And going forward, things will be normalized soon.
I'm grateful that you joined us. Edward Bauer, thank you also for joining us from Parliament. You want to join? We have an exclusive interview with the Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu, on PM Express tonight between 9 and 10 p.m. on these power challenges. If you want the update, which is really fundamental, even for me as a host of this show, that is really what you need to plan. I mean, we need to get an update in terms of how many megawatts we have, what is the supply-demand situation as of today, and the challenges that he mentions have all been fixed now. We'll get that update from John Peter Amewu when he joins us on PM Express later tonight. You want to make a date with us on Joy News Channel as we get answers for you on all these many important issues that you've been battling with as far as the power situation is concerned. And I asked you to tell me what the power situation is in your various communities. A few of you have shared your personal realities with us. I want to share a few of that as we move on to Newsnight. This one says, Evans, our lights at Kwabenya are now fully back. It was only last night that there was heavy rain with strong winds and the lights triggered off due probably to the storm, but came back just after the rain stopped. That's from Joe. Kofrina Mahia says, lights in my area was off for about 3 hours yesterday. Dumso is obviously back after the previous government gave an excess supply. That's Amrahia Kofi there. This one says, Evans, we haven't had light off for 3 days now in my area, which we are really happy because initially we didn't know what was going on. You didn't say which area this was, by the way. This says, I live in Community 25 near Deftraco Estates. Our lights went off around 8 p.m. last night and came back this morning around 9 a.m. Hi, this is Felix. I live in Medina Social Welfare. To be honest, our lights hardly go out. And even when it does, it won't be for long. Latest between 1 and 3 hours, it's back on. And it finally says, to me, we are not experiencing Dumsor. We know what Dumsor was during the NDC time, and this is not Dumsor. A few of your messages that you sent to us. Join us on Newsnight, because we'll tell you why the vice chair, the deputy ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee, went to Parliament today with firewood and an improvised kerosene-powered can lamp. What was all that about? Join us on Newsnight.
But I thought you said your place was ransacked by thieves a short while ago. So how did you manage to replace all your stuff so quickly? Hey, then it must have cost you an arm and a leg.
No.